The second I raised my glass, I should have felt the air tighten. But I didn't. I was buzzed off good wine and sunburned just enough to feel bold. To the bride-to-be, I said, clinking my glass. Big news coming your way, huh? That was it. Just a dumb, casual comment. Nothing loaded. I grinned and took a sip, but the second those words left my mouth, the entire table froze. Forks paused midair. The background jazz from the hired trio skipped like a scratched CD. I blinked. What? Serena Klein sat straight across from me, 3 seats down. Her eyes locked onto mine like lasers, the kind of stare that could stop a car in traffic. I'd seen her annoyed before. Hell, I'd seen her furious behind closed doors at the office. But this was something else. Cold, surgical. Her phone lit up on the white linen tablecloth. I didn't mean to look, but everyone was staring, so I caught it. Flag her. Handle before the ceremony. My stomach turned before my brain caught up. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I laughed, nervous, not amused. I was just talking about the wedding. Big day, you know. Serena didn't blink. Where did you hear that phrase? What? Big news? It's a saying. I didn't mean anything by it. The bride, Rachel, smiled awkwardly and glanced at her fiancé like she was waiting for him to throw a lifeline. No one did. The people around me stopped eating. I caught 2 interns from the Atlanta branch exchanging looks. A waiter reached for the breadbasket and decided against it. Even the servers knew something had shifted. I forced another smile, leaned in toward Serena. Seriously, what's the issue? I was complimenting her? Serena leaned back in her chair, all deliberate. You should be more careful with your words. The music finally restarted, but it sounded off. My ears were ringing. I thought maybe I'd just stepped on a landmine, said something that hinted at a pregnancy, maybe, but no. Rachel looked more confused than offended. Then I remembered the rumors, the company acquisition, NDA-level hush-hush, the kind of thing buried under layers of encryption and signed paperwork. No public leaks, no whispers. Definitely nothing that should have been said out loud at a goddamn rehearsal dinner. My stomach dropped. My words had sounded like a joke, but to the wrong person, they hit like a confirmation. Serena stood up and left the table. Her 2 assistants followed without a word. I looked around, hoping someone, anyone, would roll their eyes, say I was overthinking it. No one would meet my eyes. I was halfway through a glass of Pinot when Serena's assistant, Brooke, slid up beside me. She didn't smile, didn't touch my arm, just said, "Can you come with me for a second?" and started walking before I could answer. I followed her through the side hallway of the estate, past the kitchen, through a narrow door that led to some kind of wine cellar lounge. Cold tile under my heels, dim lighting, no music down here, just silence and tension. Serena sat in the center of the room like she owned it. She probably did. Flanked on either side were Trent and Josh, both fresh out of MBA programs. Both kids I'd trained up during their first 3 months at the company. No one said hello. Serena motioned toward a chair across from her. I didn't sit. She didn't waste time. Where'd you hear about the acquisition? My throat tightened. I didn't. It was a joke, a toast. I was talking about the wedding. No, you weren't. Her voice was flat. You said big news coming your way. You looked straight at Rachel. Because she's getting married. It wasn't about the company. She raised her hand, cutting me off like I was a child. You were careless, and your carelessness compromises confidentiality. I didn't leak anything. You made a public reference to a private transaction under NDA. That's not a leak? She turned to Trent. Is it legally speaking? He cleared his throat. Technically, depending on context, it's a violation, she snapped. Full stop. I looked at Josh. He looked away. I've given 11 years to this company, I said. I built systems that keep this place from eating itself alive. And you think I'd blow it all up with a one-liner at a dinner table? Serena clicked her pen. Calm, efficient. Intent doesn't matter. Optics do. I opened my mouth again. She raised her hand higher. I'm done listening. She pulled out a printed termination letter from the folder beside her and signed it in one clean motion. Effective immediately. You're kidding. She tapped her laptop. HR has it in their inbox now. Serena, you're being removed for cause. Leaking sensitive M&A intel in a public setting voids severance and equity vesting. Per your contract. My pulse pounded. You're making a mistake. No, she said, typing fast. I'm making an example. Then she hit a final key and turned the screen to show me. The company's internal platform, Global Pulse, opened to the company-wide feed. A bold headline, Senior Systems Director Terminated. Security breach during and a process. The post time-stamped, already live, hundreds of views ticking up by the second. My jaw clenched. You humiliated me publicly before you even gave me a chance to explain. Serena didn't even look up from the screen. That's what people like you never understand. Perception is reality. I can't afford uncertainty this close to the acquisition. Trent shifted in his seat. Josh suddenly found interest in his fingernails. I'd walk them through onboarding, reviewed their code, helped them fix their first broken deployments, and now they were statues. I pointed to the screen. Take that post down. You want to fire me? Fine, but don't lie to everyone on the record. Serena stood up. We're done. Brooke reappeared like clockwork, standing just behind me. I hadn't even heard her come in. Escort her off the property, Serena said without another glance. I didn't move. You'll regret this, she gave the faintest smile. Not as much as you will. Then she walked out, heels clicking over stone like it was a courtroom floor. Brooke opened the door. I looked at Trent, still frozen, Josh too. Cowards, I muttered as I walked past them. Brooke followed close, not speaking, not even fake sympathy. And just like that, 11 years gone. No hearing, no defense, just a silent room and a headline. Brooke led me out through the same side hallway we came in, silent as a warden walking a prisoner. I wasn't cuffed, but it sure as hell felt like it. When we hit the main room again, everything slowed. The dinner was still going, but quieter now. Less laughter, more low murmurs. People noticed me. Of course they did. I wasn't a guest anymore. I was the show. A few heads turned, some full-on stared. One of the Denver VPs paused mid-bite and watched me like I was about to erupt. Not one person said a word. Not even Rachel. I felt heat creep up the back of my neck. Not from shame, rage. We stepped onto the gravel path outside. The vineyard stretched quiet in the dark, vines silhouetted against the string lights. I didn't stop walking until I hit the edge of the parking lot. Then I finally exhaled. 11 years. I gave that company 11 years of my life. Late nights, early flights, missed birthdays, and one half-assed toast, one. And I'm tossed out like I stole something. I grabbed my phone, expecting the worst. HR follow-up, maybe a legal threat. Instead, I saw something that stopped me cold. A system alert, Tier 3, defensive protocol, activated initiating financial audit backup and auto-forward. I stared at the screen. Holy hell, it triggered. That wasn't a bug. I built that protocol years ago, back when Serena first started shifting budget lines around like Monopoly money. Just in case. Not for revenge, protection. For me. For the company. For when someone like her crossed a line. The system was already moving. The Tier 3 trigger meant the platform had detected a forced admin removal linked to my credentials, and it was doing exactly what I designed it to do. Flag, copy, trace, encrypt, report. I opened the back-end dashboard from my phone. The logs were already stacking. Internal transfer records, expense redirections, project shells that never existed, all with Serena's digital fingerprint tied in. Timestamps, IPS audit trails. She buried over $300 million in losses under fake subsidiaries and cooked books, and my system just started peeling it all open. That wasn't a mistake. That was insurance. My fingers moved fast, confirming remote access. The auto-forwards were live. Real-time packet delivery to a mirror node outside the firewall, then bounced to encrypted Dropboxes I'd set up offshore, every file tagged, every transaction labeled. This wasn't a me said, she said anymore. This was a fuse, already lit. Behind me, laughter bubbled from the patio again, oblivious. Champagne popped. The party rolled on like nothing had happened. But Serena's clock just started ticking, and she didn't even know it yet. I got in my car, sat in the dark for a second, then hit the ignition. The dashboard glowed. So did my phone. Another alert came through. Internal block detected. Firewall bypass attempt logged. She was already trying to scrub the traces. Too late. The moment she pulled that stunt, she handed me the match. And the platform? It was already burning down her paper empire, one buried line item at a time. I didn't go out, didn't call anyone, didn't even take off my shoes. The second I got back to my apartment, I locked the door, shut the blinds, and went straight to my desktop. 2 monitors, external drive plugged in, custom VPN fired up. I keyed in my password and opened the vault. The private audit dashboard blinked to life, still running, still feeding. Real-time file transfers were flowing steady, batch after batch of encrypted packets pushing out to a shadow node I'd hidden inside a government whitelisted IP range. One click deeper, and I saw the destination. Financial Regulation Bureau, encrypted drop ID, verified. I leaned back in my chair. My chest was tight, but not from panic anymore, just pressure. I designed the protocol to trigger like this. Tiered response, no manual override once it passed stage 3. That meant everything Serena ever touched was getting ripped out by the roots and sent straight to federal oversight. And there was a lot. I opened the transaction logs. The list kept growing, overstated revenue projections, fake shell vendors. Marketing expenses dumped into a Cayman account, budget sweeps that hit payroll reserves, then got patched by fudged forecasting lines. Everything she thought she'd hidden with her little offshore tricks. Every single bit of it was there, time-stamped, labeled, tied directly to her credentials. I clicked into one folder, Q3 to Q4 loss consolidation. Total discrepancy, $311.8 million. There it was, the big lie, the one she buried under fake growth numbers and ghost contracts, the one that would have blown the acquisition sky high if it ever came out. She didn't disclose it to the board, didn't even mask it cleverly, just tucked it inside a subsidiary we absorbed 2 years ago and prayed no one would look. Well, someone looked. This wasn't revenge. I wasn't burning down the company to get even. That place was my life, for a long damn time. But Serena, she made this personal the second she turned my work against me. So yeah, this was insurance, because if she came after me again, she'd be walking into a minefield built from her own paperwork. And the best part? She couldn't stop it. Not now. I built the entire compliance shell myself, off books, under her radar. A parallel node synced to our internal architecture but hosted on a private cloud instance with federal clearance. When I first drafted it, the board laughed it off, called it excessive. Serena ordered me to kill it. I didn't. I moved it off the books, kept building. And now it was the only system with the full picture. They couldn't erase the files. They didn't even know where they were going. I'd layered the encryption in 7 stages. Even if they got into the system, they'd hit dead links and decoys. The real files were already authenticated with digital signatures from our top executives. Some of them didn't even realize they'd approved the fraud, but they had. I stared at the dashboard. The packets kept flowing, steady as a heartbeat. Audit file batch 29. Sent. Batch 30. Sent. Batch 31. Queued. Serena could scream. She could deny. Hell, she could fire every IT guy in the building. Wouldn't matter. This machine didn't care who was in charge. Once the Tier 3 trigger went live, the entire platform prioritized one thing: exposure. And now the Bureau had enough to trigger a full investigation. Minimum. They'd come knocking soon. And when they did, she'd need me. Because I was the only one who knew how to shut it down. By morning, the logs had doubled, but I didn't even need to check. The real proof that it was working came around 9:42 a.m., when my phone lit up with a flood of failed access alerts. Attempted credential override, blocked. Admin authentication bypass request, denied. Unrecognized device, HQ, 18th floor, flagged. They were trying to fake the quarterly numbers, right on schedule. I closed my laptop, poured coffee, and waited. Across town, Serena had the top floor locked down. From what I later heard, she'd kicked out the finance team and pulled in her own trusted crew to run a quiet patch job before the investor call at noon. But the platform wasn't playing along. Every fake input they tried, blocked. Every adjusted chart, rolled back. Even the deck they uploaded kept reverting to archived reports with actual numbers. The system wasn't letting anything false through. It was demanding one thing. Primary system override requires biometric key, R. Grayson me. That's when it started melting down. I had eyes on the internal chat logs. They'd gone from, "we're checking with compliance," to full-blown DEFCON mode in under 15 minutes. Then came the big move. Serena called in a freelancer, not just any contractor. A mercenary hacker I recognized from years back. Wore mirrored sunglasses indoors, charged 20 grand a day, thought he was Jason Bourne with a keyboard. He swaggered into HQ like he was gonna rewrite history. He didn't even make it past the second gate. The second he tried to brute force past my root signature, the platform threw the tripwire. Unauthorized access detected, initiating failsafe lock. Everything froze. every live input, every system dashboard, every financial tool. And then the crown jewel, biometric override required, retina plus voice match only, no password, no backdoor. It needed my eyes and my voice. When Serena realized what just happened, she lost it. Word spread fast. Her voice echoed through the glass halls. People said she screamed at the freelancer, told him he was stealing oxygen. When he told her the system was hard-coded beyond his level, she threw her laptop across the room. Dead center. Cracked the glass wall behind her office desk. The silence afterward? Deafening. No one had seen her lose control like that before, not even in closed sessions, not even when the board pushed back. But now, her empire was stalling, and everyone could see it. She tried to make calls, legal, tech, PR. Nobody had answers. Because here's the thing. When I built that system, I didn't just make it smart, I made it stubborn, it knew the truth. And unless the person who designed it told it otherwise, it wouldn't budge. No patches, no overrides, no last-minute save. Clock's ticking, Serena. I watched the live lockout log refresh every 30 seconds. She kept trying, kept failing. The platform was a wall now, and she was stuck outside, watching the fire spread. Inside the building, panic was brewing. She couldn't release the investor package without the numbers, couldn't launch fake reports, couldn't go live on the call with a blank screen and excuses. And the best part? I wasn't even in the building. At 2:08 a.m., my phone buzzed so hard it slid off the desk. Alert: unauthorized intrusion. Manual access attempt. HQ, Office 18G, live feed activated. Recording in progress. I didn't hesitate. I hit the remote access link and pulled up the video feed. There she was. Serena, in that glass-walled corner office. Barefoot, blazer off, hair tied up in a mess. She looked nothing like the executive face on the website. She looked like someone drowning. Eyes wild, fingers twitching across a keyboard. Sweat streaking her temples. The room lights were dim, but the glow of the monitors lit her up like a stage. I muted my mic, leaned in, and watched. She was inside one of the archived report directories, an old Q2 file I'd locked during my audit shell, but she found a way to make it writable again. Manual override on a local clone. That was her mistake. She thought she was off-grid. But the second she duplicated that file, the system flagged it as tampered. And the minute she typed in the first line, adjusted revenue plus $8.2 million, the live trace kicked in. I watched her scroll through the financials line by line, editing them like a freshman trying to fix a failing grade. She cut losses, rewrote income, renamed entire accounts. Then she tried to mask a missing $14 million by folding it into a strategic vendor fund from a non-existent supplier. I knew that trick. She'd done it before, but never with eyes on her. The cameras, 3 in the office, 2 from the hallway, captured every keystroke, every mouse click. Full-screen recordings synced with her internal ID and timestamped down to the second. She glanced up, paranoid, wiped her forehead, and kept going. She backdated the report, April 3rd, 2024. Then she falsified a board approval with a forged digital signature. It was pathetic. This wasn't some genius-level cover-up. This was desperation. A CEO scrambling to duct tape a sinking ship in the middle of the night, hoping no one would notice. Too late. The audit system was already compiling the session. It ran optical recognition, matched her face to employee records, and verified her physical presence in the building through the motion sensors by the elevator. The file auto-tagged, unauthorized modification attempt, executive level, evidence pack number 19. Seconds later, the entire session was uploaded, encrypted, and delivered to the Financial Regulation Bureau, flagged high priority. Same stream sent to the company's legal compliance vault. This wasn't hearsay anymore. It wasn't me warning the board that Serena was cutting corners. This was footage, data, hard proof. And once it hit federal hands, there was no walking it back. I sat there staring at the screen as she leaned forward and whispered something to herself. The audio caught it. Just buy me time. Just buy me time. She hit save. The file corrupted instantly. She didn't know the system blocked unauthorized data writes once an alert went live. Her fake report blinked, froze, then disappeared from the screen. She slapped the keyboard. I watched her realize it was over in real time. No dramatic collapse. No screaming, just her face dropping, her breathing slowing, that sinking look in her eyes. She knew. This wasn't cleanup anymore. This was evidence, and I wasn't the one who sent it. The system did. The next morning, I watched the live stream of the investor meeting from my couch, coffee in hand, feet up. It was being broadcast from HQ's event hall. White marble floors, polished chrome podium, velvet ropes. They dressed it up like a product launch. All gloss, no substance. Serena stood center stage in a navy power suit, trying to look composed, trying to fake control. Behind her, the main screen displayed the Q3 to Q4 performance slide, just as scripted. The projection was clean, the numbers freshly inflated. She launched into her speech with all the fake confidence money could buy. Our quarter has been defined by strategic innovation and operational efficiency, she said, voice sharp. Despite market volatility, we remain. The screen behind her froze, mid-slide, mid-sentence. She stopped talking. People shifted in their seats. The board members at the front table leaned forward. Phones started lighting up across the room. Then it hit, big, bold, and blood red across the projector screen. Data compromised. Regulatory breach detected. There was no music, no warning, no animation. Just that message, flashing over and over like a siren. Then the stock ticker popped up along the bottom. Live feed. Shares were plummeting. Down 3 points in the first 10 seconds, then 5, then 7. Silence broke. Fast. What the hell is this? Shut it down. Is this part of the deck? It wasn't. Serena stood still, didn't move, didn't even blink. Then another message replaced the red warning. Evidence package. Submitted to federal oversight. Live review mode. The screen split into 4 panels. Top left, the footage of Serena in her office at 2 a.m., backdating financial records. Top right, transaction logs showing unauthorized vendor payouts and shell accounts. Bottom left, falsified approval signatures. Bottom right, system logs confirming timestamps and biometric identity. Gasps, chairs scraped, phones up, photos taken. Board members stood. Her uncle, the CFO, Harlan Klein, stood up so fast his chair toppled behind him. What is this, Serena? She turned, slow, still locked in place. It's fake. This was manipulated? No, it wasn't, he barked. That's you. That's your damn office. I didn't approve that report. You forged my signature, he shouted. The room exploded. One board member demanded legal be called immediately. Another shouted for someone to cut the feed, but no one in IT had access anymore. The system had locked them out. No admin control, no emergency override, just the autoplay cycle of Serena's mistakes, live and undeniable. The ticker dropped again. Another 10 points gone. Headlines were already flashing on financial news apps. Kleintech internal breach. CEO under regulatory investigation. I watched Serena's mouth move, but she didn't say anything. No words came out. She looked small now. Not powerful, not terrifying, just empty. This wasn't sabotage. This was exposure. Raw, public, permanent, and she knew it. Everyone did. The call came less than an hour after the meeting imploded. Private number. One of the board members I knew by voice but not by name. Didn't bother with pleasantries. We need you here. Now. No apology, no small talk. Just panic dressed up like professionalism. I didn't rush. Took my time, got dressed, walked in through the front lobby like I never left. Same receptionist, same fake smile. But this time, no one stopped me. They were waiting in the main boardroom, every chair filled. Half of them looked exhausted, the other half pissed. Serena was already there, sitting off to the side, eyes swollen, silent. I didn't sit. You want the system back? I said. Let's talk terms. They bristled. One tried to lean forward, mouth open. No, I snapped. You don't talk first. You listen. Silence. I walked to the front of the room, palms on the table. The audit system stays locked until a formal agreement is signed. You want access? Here's what happens. Serena sat up like she might try to cut in. I didn't even glance at her. 1. Serena resigns. Effective immediately. Not quietly. Not in 3 weeks. Publicly. Today. A few heads turned her way. She didn't move. 2. You transfer all control of the compliance and audit platform to my company, independent ownership, no shared access, full stack, full rights, full funding. That's when some suit in the middle raised his hand. This is extortion. No, I said, pointing at him. Extortion is what she did when she falsified $300 million in financials and dragged your stock into a death spiral. He opened his mouth again. I cut him off. You don't like it? Find another solution. But your system's locked. Your investors are furious and federal regulators are already circling. I let that hang. You think they'll come after me? I laughed. I built the alarm. She pulled it. Serena's uncle looked at her. Do you have anything to say? She blinked. It wasn't supposed to go that far. You buried losses, he said. You forged board signatures. Her voice cracked. I was trying to save the acquisition. I spoke before he could answer. It's over. She looked at me then, first time all day. Nothing behind her eyes. Just someone who finally realized the game was up. One of the lawyers leaned forward. You get the system. What else? That's it, I said. You get your platform back. The system gets rebuilt clean under my company. And Serena vanishes. No golden parachute. No backdoor advisory title. Gone. A few board members exchanged glances. Then one of them said, we agree. Serena closed her eyes. I turned to the board's legal representative. I'll have the contract ready by noon. I grabbed the door handle and looked back at her one last time. Next time you want to bury something, don't use my foundation. The contract hit my inbox at 10:06 a.m. sharp. 12 pages, clean, aggressive, exactly how I wrote it. I read every line again, just to savor it, then signed on the dotted line with a calm, steady hand. $2 million for exclusive platform control. Not a stake, not a partnership, ownership, and this time there were no conditions. No Serena, no strings. I hit send, nobody called to confirm, nobody dared to. The board had gone silent the second they realized I had more leverage than all of them combined. I wasn't the burned-out tech lead anymore. I was the firewall they couldn't get past. By the time I stepped out of the elevator, the media was already outside. Cameras, flashes, noise. Not for me, yet. They were swarming Serena. She came out the side exit flanked by legal and PR, face buried behind oversized sunglasses, head low, arms stiff at her sides. No press statement, no goodbye wave, just a slow, silent walk into a black car. Someone shouted a question, something about fraud, federal charges. She didn't flinch, but her walk looked different. Hollow. I didn't stop. I passed right by the company logo etched into the glass entrance. Same one I used to walk under every morning like it meant something. Now, just a name. Inside, I rode the elevator alone to the top floor of the adjacent building, my building now. I unlocked the door to a clean new office, windows wrapping around 3 sides, my name on the lease, my name on the paperwork, my name on the system. No hand-me-down title, no borrowed reputation. Mine. I sat behind the desk, opened my laptop, and pulled up the dashboard. All clean, all rebuilt. New protocol, new access tree, new compliance shell, mine from the ground up. No one else had the keys. I looked out over the skyline, same city, same towers. But this time, I wasn't fighting for a seat at the table. I was the table. They tried to wipe me out with one email and a smear post. They thought I'd walk away quiet, thought I'd break. They were wrong. I didn't just survive. I rewrote the terms.